This program is part of the Cosmic Potato Podcast Network. For more shows like this, visit our website at cosmicpotatonetwork.com.
Hey, listen!
All right, you guys, podcast time.
Make it so.
It's me, Mario!
I'm Batman. Strong am I with the Force.
Are you telling me that you built a time machine out of a DeLorean?
You're a wizard, Harry.
And welcome to World War G episode 248. I'm Troy.
I'm AJ.
So I just found out today, just a couple hours ago, because I was checking on Podbean about when we need to renew our subscription.
Yeah.
And turns out that today is the 6-year anniversary of the podcast.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
We started this podcast on January 5th, 2014.
Time flies when you're having fun.
It is weird that it's been 6 years.
Yeah.
Like that's odd.
6 years, 4 different locations.
Yeah, yep. Several different co-hosts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're still here, guys.
Still here. We're still standing. We're still strong.
Exactly.
What movie is that from?
I don't know. I was just trying to think of what it was.
Still here. Still standing. I'm still strong. What movie is that?
Probably a sports movie.
It seems like it, yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Because I know there was an African-American actor that said it. Which one? Was it Will Smith? I don't know. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. Okay. Let's jump into a list here, shall we?
Sure. We're starting this week in Geek so we can save the majority of our time because we're going to be going into the worst of.
The worst
Yeah.
of the decade. Speaking of that, yes, we are in brand new decade, 2020. Heading into the roaring 20s.
Right?
Yep.
Does that mean we all have to wear like 3-piece suits? And
I'd be fine with that.
Right?
I'd be good
we
with that.
were so dapper back then. Maybe not the Great Depression wasn't the best part about it. But
I mean, if we're following the timeline, that's not going to happen for another 10, 11, 12 years.
Yeah.
Give or take.
So we're safe for right now.
Yeah, we're all right. This
is a booming time.
Exactly. Right now we're listening to jazz music and we got the flappers and swinging and everything's good.
Yeah.
Wearing our zoot suits. Okay. So seeing that it's 2020, I want to take a look at all, or at least not all, some of the big Disney movies coming out this year. See if Disney can't dominate the box office once again.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure they will. So, number 1, Mulan.
This one I am looking forward to, but it's going to be weird because they're straying away from their formula, right? Of just doing a live-action version of the movie. That's
true. It doesn't look like they're doing kind of a shot-for-shot remake. It's kind of like they're taking the story and kind of adapting it a little bit.
Right.
For live action. Because there's no Mushu. He's not in it.
No.
Which I doubt also then that there's a Lucky Cricket or anything like that, so...
there could perhaps be a Lucky Cricket.
Yeah,
you know
that's
what I mean? True. But this one, I think it'll kind of make or break Disney as far as live action Disney movies go. They've had a couple of flops, Lady and the Tramp and a few others, but Dumbo wasn't that great, right?
Yeah, Dumbo wasn't great.
But yeah, this one we'll see if they can just take, because then this kind of opens it up for other Disney movie adaptations. If you don't have to like do shot for shot and you can make it your own, right? Then they've got tons of other stories that they can work with and do something, a little bit different.
Yeah. And I was going to say, they're not doing an older film. They're doing one of the more recent ones, but Mulan isn't recent.
No.
Mulan was over 20 years ago.
Right?
Yeah, which hurts my brain. The next one, Onward. Or I don't know if it's called Onward or Onward Soul, one of the two. But Onward. It's the new Disney Pixar film where basically it takes place in kind of this modern fantasy type world. Stars Tom Holland and Chris Pratt as two elf brothers who have to go on a quest to find something. I forgot. I just saw the preview for it a couple days ago. To find something to get their father's soul back, I think.
Is their father like Santa Claus?
No.
Okay.
Their father died, but he left him a spell where if
they're not like North Pole elves, right?
No, these are fantasy elves.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, the father died, and he left him a spell that could bring him back. And they try it, but something goes wrong, so they bring back like half of his body. They only bring back the lower half of his body. So it's kind of funny because they're running around with like these two legs chasing after him and stuff. And
yeah.
It looks weird. Gets into a little bit of like Weekend at Bernie's type of thing. Because they're dressing up the legs and stuff.
It just goes to show you that if you don't burn bridges or say anything stupid about Disney, they're going to use you in other things.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And you've seriously got like a cow that you can just milk and milk and milk for a lot of money.
Yeah. I want to milk the Disney cow.
Right?
Next, The Call of the Wild with Harrison Ford. I hope they fix the CG dog in that because it looks so bad.
It looks goofy.
Yeah.
The rest of the movie does look awesome, and I like that in this adaptation he's kind of like an older like dude that's been around the block, right?
Yeah.
He looks pretty withered. But yeah, that dog really, like when I was watching the trailer, because it was for another movie that I was watching in theaters, but I was watching it and I was just like, it really took you out of the moment.
It really did.
Right? You're like, all of a sudden, it's like this huge contrast between the rest of the movie.
It looked like something out of like like PlayStation 4 or something.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they just didn't use a real dog. I mean, maybe they did and they're like CG over it, but that wouldn't make any sense.
No.
Just use a real dog. Just use a real, what is that, St. Bernard?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Next, New Mutants. This one has had a lot of issues.
Yeah,
getting off the ground.
Say the least.
Yeah. I don't know if it's honestly ever going to see the light of day. I don't know. It says it's coming out, but we'll wait and see.
Right.
It was supposed to come out a couple years ago, I think. Something like that. I don't know. It's supposed to be kind of the first horror type superhero film set in the X-Men universe.
Yeah.
Then we have the big Marvel films, which is Black Widow and the Eternals. I think Black Widow looks fun, as we have the preview now. I think it looks kind of a cool, slick, kind of almost like a spy / James Bond type of film.
Yeah, but with like mixed in with like some humor.
Mm-hmm.
It does seem like they're going a little bit more of the Thor Ragnarok direction, right? Making Black Widow a little bit more like kid-friendly and kind of happy-go-lucky, and it's like spying is fun rather than like a serious espionage movie, right?
Yeah. Espionage is fun, kids. You should try it.
They could totally have like a ton of merchandise. You know, back in the day, I always thought it was cool because my older brother, he had these spy gear equipment that there was like a one that would beep at you if you opened the door or if you did anything, you know, or it was like a telescope that you could like look through or look around corners, and you had like glasses that actually had a mirror in the back of it.
Mhm.
So I really think that they could do that with like Black Widow.
Yeah. And then as far as the Eternals go, I don't know that much about the Eternals
No, neither. Yeah,
to really have an opinion. But I didn't know that much about Guardians of the Galaxy either. So
and it turned out to be great.
Yeah.
So
next, The Woman in the Window. I have no idea what this one is about.
It reminded me of that old Disney movie. What was it? Watcher in the Woods.
Watcher in the Woods?
Yeah, a little bit of that.
Well, it seems like maybe she, just judging from the poster here, she witnesses a murder or something.
So more of like a what's that Shia LaBeouf movie? Disturbed?
Disturbia?
Yeah.
So, Rear Window?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Next one, Raya and the Last Dragon. No idea.
It'll be one of those ones that like turns into 4 other movies, like How to Train Your Dragon, right?
Yeah, just making it just for the toys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. That's kind of the ones that this site at least picked as the ones that.
Which one do you think is going to make the most money?
It's got to be one of the Marvel films, I would think.
Right? Perhaps Black Widow? Or are you going with more like a kids movie? You know what I mean?
Actually, now I think about it, as much as I like the character Black Widow, I could see her movie doing
decent
the numbers like Ant-Man did.
Yeah.
Or it did fine, but it's not like, it didn't make millions and millions of dollars. As far as Disney standard is.
Yeah. Standard D.
Yeah. I think
standard?
Mulan has a good chance.
Okay.
Of raking in a lot of money.
That'd be kind of interesting to play the odds on that, like Vegas, where it's like the over-under, whether it's going to do better than Black Widow or not. Mulan does, because I think a lot of people will be really interested to see what they do with it. And from the trailers, she looks like a warrior.
Yeah, it looks
Crouching
really
Tiger-esque, hidden dragon.
It looks really good. It looks very, like on an epic scale.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if they go that route, if they go, Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones route, where you have these big epic battles with, thousands of people in armies and stuff. And I think
just like thousands of people running over the top of this hill down into the city to, Yeah,
I think it definitely has potential. Out of all those films, that one has the most potential.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. So, speaking of Disney, Chris Hemsworth has kind of went a different direction than a lot of Disney actors after the MCU. He has jumped on the bandwagon with, it's an app. It's called Center by Chris Hemsworth. And what this is it's a monthly subscription that you can purchase. They've got one where you can do a 1 month for $30 or 3 months for $60 or a whole year for $120. So
because Chris Hemsworth needs the money,
right? Exactly. He's pretty hard up for money right now. But it's him and a group of people that basically it's an app that has lots of different routines. You can put all of your food, calories, caloric intake, manage that. A lot of those apps that I've seen, it'll do 1 or 2. I've got 2, one for just for distances or if I'm running, and then I've got another one for more of my exercise and food. So it's kind of spread out, where this one seems like it's all inclusive, because it's even got meal planning, meal prepping, how to, what to buy, gives you a breakdown, and also guided meditation.
Ooh.
So I kind of want, because the little picture from it says riding the wave, and it's got a picture of him running with a surfboard. So I'm wouldn't that be kind of funny if it was just him talking soothing to you?
That would be funny. Yeah.
But I wouldn't ever I don't think I would ever get to that point where there's enough free apps out there to actually pay for a subscription, and I'm not quite that dedicated. I'm not Chris Hemsworth level dedicated, right?
Yeah.
That's like taking it to the next level.
Yeah, they're basically saying, "Oh, you can download this app and look like Chris Hemsworth."
Right.
Yeah,
But those dudes, it's crazy. Like, that's... I say this like I would ever get, like, chosen. But that would be one of my biggest, like, hesitations to join the MCU, is because you have to eat pretty much just chicken and broccoli. And then, like, work out, and while you're working out, just do lines, practice lines. That's, like, your life for the next couple of years.
For a second, it sounded like you're talking about cocaine. Do lines.
Practicing, like, rehearsing your lines. Yeah.
Yeah,
you have to do coke.
Yeah.
A lot of Disney, like, actors and actresses have. So,
that's true. I mean, Robert Downey Jr.
Those child stars.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna do that.
If it was like all PlayStation, so say it was free, would you download it just for the meditation or what? Like,
I don't know. I might
just to see to see what it is.
Yeah, maybe
or would you
just
actually
check it
like
out.
follow it? If it was free, would you like follow this like regimen and routine?
I'd give it a try.
Okay.
I'd give it a try. But yeah, it would be really nice, I think, actually, to be part of the MCU, because on the other hand, you are getting basically paid to get into shape.
Right.
You know?
Very true.
Though it will be hard, you do have millions of dollars in the bank
Right.
to do it.
So you can have a personal chef, you can have like a personal trainer, You can buy yourself a swimming pool.
Yeah, but to look, if you want to look like Chris Hemsworth or Dwayne Johnson or something, that's like a full-time job.
Oh, absolutely.
Like you can't stop your routine at all when it comes to that, because if you follow Dwayne Johnson, if you follow The Rock, that he is always exercising. He's always doing something.
Yeah.
And if you see like pictures of his meals, it's like thousands of calories that he's consuming, and it just looks exhausting.
You would need that Disney money to pay for that.
You would.
Just his meal plan alone.
Man.
No, I get what you mean, because like if you stop for an instant or kind of, you're just like, I'm just going to take it easy for this month.
Mm-hmm.
No, it goes pretty quickly away.
That's why
down to that 1%, or 4% body fat.
Yeah, that's why it's so easy for these actors to get into shape so quickly, is because basically that becomes their full-time job.
Right.
And so they work out like crazy for the first 6 months to prepare for the role, and then once the role's done and they're not doing that anymore, all that goes away.
Right.
Unless they keep it up.
But it seems like they've got there's two different types of really in shape MCU characters. It's the people that kind of try to bulk up and look really defined, or just get bigger or look more defined.
Yeah.
Right? You can go that two different directions depending on what type of characters. But it's no wonder that some of these celebrities that they have eating disorders and all sorts of problems. I know Tom Hanks, after doing Castaway and then going back to trying to eat normal, completely threw him off.
Got diabetes. Right?
Yeah. It takes its toll.
Yeah,
it doesn't come without it. It doesn't come without consequences.
Yeah. What else would I was gonna say something else about it. Dang, now I forgot. Oh well. I guess it doesn't matter. I remember what I was gonna say.
Yes.
It's funny. That's how it works. If you can't remember something, if you're gonna say something you can't remember,
just say.
Move on to something else,
and then all of a sudden,
then it'll come back.
Yeah.
If I was gonna be anybody in the MCU, I want to be Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't have to be big.
He's a scientist. And then, all those muscles are just CGI.
It's all CG. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure he has to be somewhat in shape, But he doesn't have to be like Hemsworth big or Hugh Jackman ripped or anything like that.
Right.
Yeah. Luckily.
Oh, that's very true.
Yep.
Even like I feel like Robert Downey Jr. didn't have to work out as hard as some of these others.
That's true. Now he was tone.
Right.
You could tell he was tone, but
Yeah.
he wasn't big.
No.
Yeah. So because it was the end of the year, just a few weeks ago, a lot of people were coming out with, their best of lists and that sort of thing. And former President Obama was no exception. He came out with his list of his favorite movies, his favorite books, his favorite music, his favorite television shows.
Stuff that he can now do and listen to and stuff after being president.
Yeah. now that he can relax. And here is, there's one I want to mention, but here's some of his favorite movies of 2019. American Factory, Amazing Grace, Apollo 11, Ash is the Purest White, Atlantics, Bird of Passage, Booksmart, Diane, The Farewell. None of these I've heard of.
Booksmart, as well as what's the other?
Booksmart was that teen comedy, right?
Yeah, that wasn't very good.
Yeah. Oh, come on, Obama.
Yeah, right. Well, it was kind of a coming of age movie, but then they went too comedic, and then like threw in, like they kind of changed it up just a little bit at the very end, and it didn't have that.
Let me tell you, I love those teen comedies. Hilarious.
Apollo 11, I will give him props.
American
for that
Pie.
One. That was
Great film.
great. Amazing Grace, I did see that one as well.
Yeah,
but
I haven't seen any of those.
He's about 50% as far as like.
All right.
I can respect his opinion or
okay.
his list.
We have The Farewell, Ford v Ferrari, which I can totally agree with that one.
Yeah,
that one was great. The Irishman.
Okay. It was decent.
Okay. Just Mercy. The Last Black Man in San Francisco. Little Women. Marriage Story. Parasite. The Souvenir. Transit.
Okay.
Then, he also has a quick list of TV shows that I considered as powerful as movies. So he's cheating a little bit.
Yeah.
Fleabag, Season 2. Unbelievable. And Watchmen.
What? Really?
Yep.
Okay.
President Obama's sitting home watching Watchmen.
That is awesome. You're probably watching it at the same time he's watching it.
Who watches The Watchmen? President Obama does. That's who.
I
gotta say, love this Dr. Manhattan. Even his big blue dick.
I could. Yeah, he's got all right taste. I can definitely see that, like, he prefers a certain type of like movies and stuff. Yeah. More of the dramatic side of things, as well as like ones that have I wouldn't say controversial subjects, but they do bring up a broad variety of different like walks of life. Yeah,
and also it seems like it's not extremely mainstream. Like, it's not the big budget, Marvel films or anything.
Right.
It's definitely more quiet films.
They kind of flew under the. Do you feel like
on the radar? Yeah.
Okay, because whenever I've like thrown up a list before of some of my favorite things that like some of my favorite movies, I do kind of try to put in like a different variety, and I also like I'm very critical of myself that I make sure that I'm like, well, this one's like really good. Like, I'll throw that one in the mix. Yeah. So do you think he's like a little bit kind of pandering to people or playing it up? Like,
well, he is a politician.
Right. So, I mean, I feel like there's a little bit of an ulterior motive that is like, oh, playing all demographics, playing all,
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, I wouldn't. It's probably a good bet, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's still a pretty decent list.
Yeah.
And I do like that he's watching The Watchmen. That's awesome.
Yes. I appreciated that.
And you were like waiting all week just to say that line, huh? Who watches The Watchmen?
No, I honestly didn't.
On the spot. Wow.
I was on the spot. Yep.
So speaking of movies,
I mean, I did want to do my Obama impression.
Yeah,
I was waiting for that.
Right. Which was pretty. It was pretty good. It was pretty solid. Yeah.
Thank you. I should do it for money.
Right. Anybody willing to pay for this?
That's right.
Dude, you could just leave like people messages on the answering machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, this is President Obama. Wanted to let you know, got your phone bill.
Oh.
It's come due. I'm working for T-Mobile now.
If you did, like you're taking calls, incoming calls.
Yeah.
And he's like, wow, times are tough, aren't they, Obama? Yeah, speaking of movies, another director is leaving the Uncharted movie. For those people unfamiliar with the Uncharted game series, it's basically like a Indiana Jones meets Lara Croft-esque kind of a game, right? And it is a PlayStation exclusive, but this to me, I feel like a lot of directors, because it's had now 6 directors have said like, oh yeah, I could do this, and then like they jump off the bandwagon.
It's like the Flash movie,
right? The latest is Travis Knight, which it's crazy to me because they've already got Tom Holland on board to play Nathan Drake.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, you've already got a big name celebrity. Where's the reservation from? But
Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
Both on board.
Right? So Travis Knight, his last movie that he did is the new Transformers spin-off Bumblebee, which I thought was a pretty solid movie.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's fine. It's good.
So because of scheduling errors, he's decided to like not do this series. So it was slated to be released December 18th, 2020, but it looks like it might possibly be pushed back even further. Right?
December 18th, 2025.
Right?
Yeah.
Tom Holland, like he's a decent like actor. He's pretty solid.
Yeah.
I just don't think that he's Nathan Drake material.
I
don't see it at all. Having played all 4 of these games,
yes.
I can't. It's not him. Like perhaps like maybe a younger one. Like in the 4th one, they kind of go back to when he was like a younger kid.
Even as a younger kid, I don't. He doesn't have. He doesn't have the Nathan Drake look. Like he just doesn't.
No. And we've kind of talked about this before, that there could be quite a few other, like, actors. Like, unfortunately, Nathan Fillion, even though he's, like, trimmed down quite a bit, he's still a little bit too old for the role now. Yeah. Right? I still say that, Hiddleston, right?
Tom Hiddleston.
After seeing him in the, Skull Island? Mm-hmm. Right? After seeing him in that, I'm like, all right, if he bulked up a little bit, like got a little, like put a little bit more weight on him, wasn't quite so like pencil thin.
No, right.
But yeah, he kind of had that look to him.
Yeah, I think if Tom Hiddleston were to be Nathan Drake, I think a good person to play his brother. Yeah, I mean, I would say Chris Hemsworth, but I'd be on the nose.
Two on the nose. Yeah.
Like, I think maybe like Daniel Craig might be good.
Yeah?
As his brother. Or even Daniel Craig as Sully. I could see that.
I could totally see that. Yeah, for sure. I'm trying to think because his brother kind of has more of like a wiry frame than Nathan Drake for sure. So I would have to think on it, like who I'd want to see, but
actually, now I'm thinking about number 4. The one I thought of was Bradley Cooper.
Okay,
I think he'd be a good Nathan Drake's brother. I forgot his name.
Yeah,
because he kind of looks like him a little bit, at least the video game character.
He does, yeah.
Okay. So, there's been kind of this inside joke for a while now that, if Sean Bean's going to be in a movie or a TV show, he's going to die.
Yeah.
And that is usually the case. Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, James Bond, we were just talking about that. He usually dies in every film he's in. But the question is, does Sean Bean die more than other actors?
Ooh. Huh.
Well, I am going to answer that question for you.
All right.
Actor Sean Bean has been dying over and over again for 20 years. He's been dropped from a satellite dish in Goldeneye, shot through the neck with a grappling hook in The Island, peppered with arrows in Lord of the Rings, and decapitated in Game of Thrones. But with the number of Sean Bean fatalities caught on camera, brought back in the spotlight with his new show Legends, maybe it's time to put the many demises into perspective. So, is he or has he died more than other actors? No, he has not.
Okay.
As far as actors who die a lot in films, he is number 4. He's 4th on the list.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Who are our top 3?
Top 3, Vincent Price, number 3. Bela Lugosi, number 2, Dracula.
Mm-hmm.
And number 1, John Hurt.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Actor John Hurt. With over 120 movies, Hurt's death percentage is similar to Bean's, around 30%. But just seeing the list of Hurt's 43 deaths is impressive. These are all the movies that John Hurt has died in.
I was going to say, the only ones I can really think of him in Snowpiercer, V for Vendetta, and Hellboy.
And Alien.
Oh, that's true.
Chestburster.
Yeah.
Classic death. He has died in The Wild and the Willing, Sinful Davy, A Man for All Seasons, 10 Rillington Place, The Ghost East of Elephant Rock, Spectre, Alien, The Elephant Man, Heaven's Gate, The Osserman Weekend, The Hit, After Darkness, The Black Cauldron, Jake Speed, Spaceballs, Aria, Deadline, Little Sweetheart, Scandal, Something French, La Quimont, Leo, I don't know.
Oh, I thought the name of the movie was something French for a second.
No, the title is in French. Even Cowgirls Get the Blues, Contact, The Climb, All Little Animals, You're Dead, Lost Souls, Hellboy, Pride, Tabloid, The Proposition, V for Vendetta,
Yeah.
Outlander, Boxes, An Englishman in New York, Ultramarines, Whistle and I'll Come to You, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, Only Lovers...
That's an interesting title.
Only Lovers Left Alive, Snowpiercer, Hercules, and finally the TV miniseries I, Claudius.
Okay. See, I feel like a lot of these actors have a certain niche, and they also... this is weird to say, but they're good at something, they're good at it.
Yeah.
And if he dies well, right, you've got Brad Pitt, who is really good at eating food on camera.
Yes.
Right?
Tom Cruise is really good at running.
Yeah. See, you've got these
Harrison Ford, really good at pointing.
Yes.
Yep.
You've got these specific actors and actresses that kind of have a certain niche.
Yeah.
But... I mean, there's a lot of people that die in movies, so why not be one of them?
It's true.
I'd be fine with that.
Yeah. Just some of the others on the list of actors that do die quite a bit. So we also have Gary Busey, Mickey Rourke, Robert De Niro, Lance Hendrickson, Samuel L. Jackson, Nicolas Cage, Gary Oldman, Bill Paxton, Bruce Willis, Brad Pitt, Liam Neeson, Val Kilmer, Steve Buscemi, Johnny Depp, Christopher Walken, Michael Caine, John Leguizamo, Ed Harris, Denzel Washington, Ralph Fiennes, Idris Elba, Dustin Hoffman, Al Pacino, Jack Nicholson, Leonardo DiCaprio, Christian Bale, Christian Slater, Charlize Theron, John Malkovich, John Travolta, Michelle Rodriguez, Jeremy Renner, Kate Winslet, and Hilary Swank.
I'm trying to think of the movies that a lot of these people are playing in, and they're action, or they're mobster movies, or they're ones where there's going to be a death, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it kind of makes sense.
So there you go.
He doesn't die more than other celebrities.
No, he dies a lot.
Just not more than others.
Just not more.
Yeah.
He's in the top 4.
So, since The Witcher recently dropped on Netflix and people have been going crazy about it,
I still need to watch it. I keep forgetting
binge
about
watching it, right? They kind of brought this to light that Henry Cavill, he was obsessed with the character so much so that he took his full costume home. And wore it all the time, but like it would typically take a couple of hours for him to completely go through makeup, but he took home the suit, he would eat in it, he would like run errands and do other stuff in this suit just so that it looked more worn.
Right.
Like,
Right.
you know, it didn't look so brand new on camera.
Oh, I get it. Okay.
So that was kind of his method to his madness, but still...
He went home and rolled in the dirt.
Right? Let's wear this down a little bit. Make it actually... Well,
I love the thought of him coming back to set the next day and having the wardrobe people go, what? Is that mustard on there? What are you doing? Stop wearing it home.
Yeah. But you can't really tell him not to do this.
That's true.
Right?
Pretty much the reason this whole thing was made was because of him, so.
Yeah, he's a huge fan of the game series as well as the books.
Yeah.
Which that's what the books are based, you know, the books were made first and then the game series came out and then now this.
Right.
But a lot of like the outfit that he's wearing, it looks like leather.
Yeah.
So it would make sense that you would want to like wear it because then it's going to be a lot easier to move in it. It's not going to be quite so rigid, especially if you're wielding a huge like sword.
Yeah.
Right? And having to do like some crazy stunts in it. I would want it to be more flexible.
Break it in a little bit.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But that still makes me laugh when he's just like taking it home. Just you know, he's like sitting down to like makes himself a BLT. In the suit, yeah.
Sitting on the couch watching Netflix.
Right?
Yeah. I do know that Viggo Mortensen, when he was filming Lord of the Rings, took his sword everywhere.
Really?
He went. Yep. Not the costume, but he did have the sword everywhere.
Just takes it into the grocery store.
Yeah.
Just
That's what he'd do. He'd always have it in his car. Like he wanted... Much like the same thing, he wanted to feel or look like he was super comfortable with that sword.
Right.
Like it was just kind of an extension of his arm, basically.
Well, because a lot of the times, you know, you don't think about this, and if you get on set the first day and you haven't like put the sword on your hip or had to move it around or maneuver it, it doesn't look that natural. It becomes looking a lot like you don't know what the heck you're actually doing. And you haven't been, like, you know, using a sword since you were, like, a child.
Yeah.
So. I
actually think now I'm thinking about it. I think Hugh Jackman did the same thing with the Wolverine claws.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like, he had those and took those home and was working with them.
It did look pretty natural when he would, like, eat food or he was even using, like, a stogie, right? It didn't seem like he even cared or recognized that they were there half the time. Because he wasn't worried about, like, hitting himself or impaling himself.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mentioned, I think, it was last week.
Yeah.
That after The Mandalorian ended, I canceled my Disney Plus subscription.
Yeah.
Well, apparently I'm not the only one. Because there has been a mass cancellation after Mandalorian Season 1 ended. Yeah. So
people are just waiting for season 2.
Waiting for season 2.
Yeah, that was half the reason to subscribe to it.
I mean, that was the reason I subscribed to it.
Yeah.
It was so I could watch it. And I could have, I could have probably found it somewhere else, but I wanted to watch it as soon as it dropped.
Yeah. Which I really did appreciate that because the new Star Wars film was coming out on a Friday, they dropped the episode early.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, wow, that's really nice. I do, however, still think that the reason they showed Force healing on The Mandalorian is so it wouldn't be such a, stretch.
Such a surprise.
Such a surprise when you're seeing it down there, in the film.
Well, I'm sure all the, John Favreau and J.J. Abrams and all the heads and everything all got together.
They collaborated for sure. Yeah. But does it say like the numbers at all? Like
no,
how many people actually canceled?
I was just looking for that, but no, it doesn't say.
Yeah, because it even gives you down the very bottom like an option to be like, what's your reasoning? You're like, well, waiting for season 2.
That's pretty much what I said. I'll be back when season 2 starts up.
And we were talking about this before the episode, that one thing that's going to keep people on board and keep people subscribed, I think, or at least a big draw, will be if they have these Disney Marvel TV shows.
Yes.
Kind of stagger them out.
Yep.
You've got the Falcon and Bucky one, as well as the Doctor Strange. That looks really cool.
Wanda.
Mm-hmm.
Is Doctor Strange going to be on?
I thought it was going to be that series.
Or are you thinking Loki? Because I know Doctor Strange is going to have a film.
Loki, I'm not sure. But I
don't know. I know Moon Knight. Moon Knight's going to appear on it, which that'll be interesting.
So if they stagger these shows, and just have them just far enough where people are like, I'll just keep the subscription until it drops, I think they'll be just fine. Yeah,
because I think right now people are downloading it and watching all these things based purely on nostalgia.
Yeah.
I think eventually that nostalgia is going to wear off. And they're going to need some original programming to keep people there.
And is that how Netflix was able to do it? Because obviously they have to look to, Netflix and Hulu and some of these other subscription-based businesses that have been doing it for a while and keeping people on board and interested. Is it just original new content, and then they've built up enough of a fan base for some of these shows that then people are staying on board for it?
Yeah, I think so. And with Netflix, Netflix is so strange because it started out as a way to get movies through the mail.
Yes.
Right? And then it went online and you could watch films online. But the thing with Netflix is it doesn't just focus on one studio.
Right.
It has all the studios in there.
Yeah.
And they have a ton of original programming. And not just movies, but they have TV shows. They have reality TV shows, competition shows.
Yeah.
They have this huge variety. And I think that's why people keep their Netflix. That's why they don't get rid of it, because there's just so much new content, new program constantly coming out.
Yeah. I find myself checking and finding new shows that I really like, and I'm like, I'll be interested to see when season 2 drops. But then 3 other shows that I've been binge watching drop, and then I'm like, I've got plenty of stuff to watch for the next while. Yeah,
and then at the same time, then they have stuff like they got Stranger Things and these incredible original shows that
Orange is the New Black did really well. Yeah.
I mean, shows that are, being nominated for Emmys and Academy Awards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And if Disney Plus wants to keep up, that's what they're going to have to start doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see, because Disney has always been really family friendly. So it'll be interesting to see how they navigate that with only keeping family friendly content on their streaming service.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Because that's only going to appeal to so many people.
Yeah. I don't know, because like I said, there's so much on that app, but yet, there wasn't enough to keep me around. And it was only $7 a month.
Yeah.
I could easily afford it. At the same time, I'm just meh.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I could watch, old episodes of DuckTales and Gummy Bears and Gargoyles, but yeah.
Right. It's best remembered really good
Some of them, yes.
Right? It's best, like, left in the past
Mhm.
to remember and be like, to think fondly of.
Yeah.
And actually rewatch them.
Especially that X-Men cartoon. I know people love it, but that's rough to get through. Okay.
Speaking of rough things to get through.
Yes. So because it's a new decade, everybody was jumping on, the best of the decade.
Yes.
Everybody was doing it. Lots of podcasts have done it. Lots of websites have done it. And we thought, well, let's do something different.
Yeah.
Instead of doing the best of the decade, let's do the worst. And so
because that's where we thrive here. We're all
exactly,
in the muck, in the grime, like
watching this crap so that you don't have to.
Exactly. We're doing a public service.
We really are.
Yeah. You're welcome.
So we got a few categories. Pretty much what we always talk about: movies, television, comic books, video games. And we're going to run down the worst of what we think, in our opinion, are the worst of these things. Starting with comic books.
Yes.
What was the worst comic book? What was the worst comic book moment? What was the worst just comic book event overall?
When you kind of posed this question, it was like a little bit open to interpretation.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do you want to go first?
Sure. DC back in, which it pains me to speak ill of DC, but they have had some shortcomings. And one of them in particular was back in 2013, when they let up-and-coming new artists draw pictures to be used in an upcoming issue of Suicide Squad. And they're kind of like, their caption for it was depicting Harley Quinn in their suicide fantasies.
Oh.
Right?
Great. Because Harley Quinn has never been overly sexualized.
No, exactly. Well, and that was my two biggest problems with this. They're nonchalantly talking about suicide and not how serious of an issue it is, especially when you're talking to people that already feel kind of, people that are reading comics, not all of them, but a lot of them, like everybody else, deals with depression and thoughts of suicide, and they're feeling kind of rejected, and they're sometimes loners, right? And then also, like you said, sexualizing Harley Quinn. But one of the worst out of them all, which was because they'd posted all of them, people had put in their entries, right? And letting people vote on them. One of them that was the worst of all was this bathroom scene where she was kind of upside down, drowning in a bathtub.
Wow. Wearing
scantily clothing, hardly any, bubbles coming up some of the other parts.
Wow.
Yeah. There was ones where it had her inside of an alligator's mouth, and just these over-the-top scenes. They later said hey, we're gonna retract this and pull it away, and try to get everybody to forget it. And they put on that that episode instead. They put Harley Quinn on a rocket. That was what they decided to do to kind of save face. But yeah, they still got a lot of backlash from this.
Yeah, that just seems... That was just a bad idea from the get-go.
Not a bad idea to have artists, say hey, we want you to, we want to give you a chance to put your art out there for people, right? And to potentially work for DC, but just the direction they went with it.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the people in that boardroom should have gone, maybe not.
Maybe not, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's rethink this.
So for me, sticking with DC.
Yeah.
The worst thing they did, it was the launch of the New 52.
Yeah.
This was DC basically going, we're scrapping all the old stuff and we're starting new. We got new storylines, and we're starting all of our comic books at number 1, and we're just going full bore, and we're changing up some origins. We're doing this, and we're shaking up everything. And
That lasted for about 4 years.
Yeah.
And then they decided, oh, we need to, not do this, not change up so many things. So that's when they came out with DC Rebirth.
Yes.
That's kind of the direction to be like, hey guys, sorry for the misstep here.
Yeah, we're changing this again.
We're bringing it back to their original origins.
Yeah, and a lot of their redesigns of costumes were created by Jim Lee.
Yes.
And as much as I love Jim Lee, I love his artwork. Some of the costumes he created for him, they're just too much. Like Superman, it almost looked like a suit like Batman would wear. Like it looked almost armor-ish.
Yeah.
It's like, why does Superman need anything like that? That doesn't make any sense.
Right?
It's
like he lets his muscles do the talking.
Exactly. And they just looked weird, and the storylines didn't quite work.
He can't be shot by bullets and stuff, but yet he needs armor.
Yeah.
That
makes no freaking sense.
No.
And so, yeah, they had people excited about it. They really hyped this up a lot. And comic book readers were excited to see maybe some fresh takes on these old characters, and then they did it, and I was like, oh, this is not good.
There were a few good ones. Like, I did like the direction they went with, like, the Green Lantern.
Yeah.
But some of the other ones, yeah, they took unnecessary risks.
The new 52, I think, should have been more focused on these lesser tier characters. I think that's where some of the best books were. Not Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and the Justice League.
No.
Though they were fine. But, yeah, these lower tier characters, I could see the new 52 helping them, like bringing them back into the mainstream.
Yes. Kind of giving them the Guardians of the Galaxy, fresh relook.
Yeah. I mean, they did books on Hawk and Dove. They did books on Red Hood and the Outlaws, and they did these other, maybe it's kind of lower tier ish characters, and that's where they should have stayed.
Oh, 100% agree. Yeah. Because not only that, but then you have so much more material because you're bringing it into the mainstream where everybody's going to see this, and then they could potentially turn it into movies.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and the other good idea was that they got like all their stable of artists to work on different books.
Yeah.
Which
it would be really refreshing to draw something completely different than what you're normally used to.
Yeah. Video games.
Yes. See, this one, because there's been a lot of, like, video games that got really a lot of hype, but then were major letdowns.
Mm-hmm.
But as far, because, like, we went more the direction of ones that we've played.
Yes.
And because of that, I had to nominate Evolve.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this one, I feel like was a little bit ahead of its time, but wasn't executed properly. What it was is you could have 4 different characters. One was a healer, one was a shooter, like one laid traps. They kind of had like their different own specific jobs. They could do other stuff, but that's primarily what they were good at and, left to, much like what they did with like Overwatch. You've got these characters that are multifaceted, but they also have like certain strengths that they should use.
Yeah.
Then you could also play as, like, one person would play as this ginormous monster, this creature, in these cool looking worlds that were ginormous, and they were kind of like Monster Hunter-esque scale, like really big. But it was really difficult to find matches because they didn't think that, they hoped that they would have enough players that everybody would, be joining in, that then they could, they wouldn't have to have any type of fake characters.
Yeah.
But it fell pretty flat. But like I've seen it done properly when it comes to like Dead by Daylight or Friday the 13th and some of these other games. Like it can be done, but this one, it didn't do so well. It was like, you know, in the $10 bin like pretty quickly at the stores.
For me, I don't have to talk about this before. When I find a game I like, I play it for a long time.
Yeah.
And so I don't play a lot of like brand new games. I'll get to them eventually.
Right. But you do your research on them, like watch playthroughs and other stuff, right?
Yeah. And
it's stuff that you know that you're going to like.
Yeah. And so the video games I was thinking of, like, oh, that one was very good. That one was very good. Were before 2010.
Okay.
Like I have
PS3 days?
Yeah, I have one right over there. It's a Lego Rock Band that was awful. It sucked.
The Beatles Rock Band was great.
Oh, Beatles was great.
Green Day was awesome. Yeah.
And then I thought, oh, Metallica, that one sucked too. But both of those were 2009. I'm like, dang it. So I started thinking, okay, well, which one did I play that had a lot of hype to it? Like you said, just ended up being a letdown.
Yeah.
And then I remembered TMNT Mutants in Manhattan.
I remember you being like so super hyped for this game.
So
dude.
excited.
Yeah. You're just like, it looks like the old school arcade version, but only they've made it better and you can jump out of roofs.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly felt like after because I saw you play it a little bit and I watched some gameplay of it, it seemed like that app, the TMNT app game was better.
Yeah. It was. There was just...
You probably spent more time on that one too.
I did.
Yeah.
The storyline... I mean, the original playthrough was fine, but it was over really quickly, and it was fairly easy to get through, and then there really wasn't any replayability to it.
Much like an ex-wife.
True.
Just teasing.
And it just, like I said, it was just so disappointing, because one of the big... things with this is you could play all four turtles. Like, they were all on screen together at the same time.
Right. And you could, like, change throughout them, and they all had different abilities and different weapons.
Mm-hmm. But it just ended up being so average. And it was just such a waste of potential.
Yeah.
You know? Especially someone like me, where, you know, Ninja Turtles is close to being my religion.
Yeah.
You know, it's just...
In Turtles We Trust.
Yeah.
What would you have liked to have seen them do differently? Or if you were creating like a TMNT game, what would it be?
One of my absolute favorite TV moments of the last decade was from the Ninja Turtles 2012 cartoon, where basically they went through the past few decades of the Ninja Turtles. The Ninja Turtles met different versions of themselves. So they met the comic book versions. They met the 80s cartoon versions.
Yeah.
They met, you know, did they meet the 2003 versions? I don't remember. Anyway, but they basically were going through the history of Turtles. I think that would be a cool game.
Yeah.
I think you start out in the comic book world, where that's a little darker, a little bit more violent, and then you move on to the 80s cartoon, then you move on to maybe like the movie versions and the blah blah blah, and you just kind of playing through the history of the Ninja Turtles. That way, you know, if you're doing like the comic book version, it could be you're moving from like different panels, and it's 2D, and then when you get to the movies, it becomes like hyper realistic. you know, and
well, that would because then, like you said, you could go back and play these other chapters and different time periods, but it would keep you coming back and playing more, because then they'd probably have like a lot of different collectibles that you have to get.
Or if you focus on one thing, I would love to see a Ninja Turtles version of like the Arkham games, how the Arkham games were set up.
Right.
And I would love to put that style into a Ninja Turtles game where you could pick a Ninja Turtle, like the old arcade games, you know, pick your turtle, and then go through New York City just like you do in Gotham City. And you have this main storyline you're going through, you're beating up bad guys, you're meeting, you know, iconic villains.
Yes.
I think that would be really freaking cool.
TMNT kind of meets that new Spider-Man game.
Yeah.
Right? Because you'd be going through the city, or like you're saying with Arkham, you'd be going through the city, and all of a sudden, like, this Foot Clan would just come out of nowhere and start trying to attack you. Yeah. That has a heck of a lot more potential. Plus, then also there's throughout the whole city, there's about 10 different Foot Clan layers that you have to go take down, right? And April is kind of like on the inside, and she's getting like these reports, and it's like, hey, the cops have just said, you know, go over here, like there's one located over here.
Yeah, April could be your oracle.
Yeah, exactly. That to me would have a lot more potential. And then it's just like, man, yeah, TMNT meets Spider-Man. Have you had a chance to play the new Spider-Man yet?
Not yet.
Yeah, no, it would work fantastic together.
You could go, if you want anytime you're on the street, walking through the streets, and you see a manhole, you could open up the manhole and go underneath.
It's kind of fast travel.
Yeah, go through the sewers. Oh, man. Now I want this video game to exist, like, and then, right now.
Wouldn't it be kind of cool is if, like, in a loading screen, when you actually go through, well, okay, because, like, in Spider-Man, he hops on the subway a lot of the times, and then he'll just, like, randomly start chatting and talking to people on the subway, you know, and they're like, oh, hey, Spider-Man, like, high five, you know? I think it would be kind of cool is if you actually hopped into the sewer, and while you're waiting to get to your new destination, you're earning points by being on a skateboard in the sewers, like going back and forth.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Kind of collecting. Did you ever play Earthworm Jim?
Yes.
The Sega back in the day?
Yes.
That bubble, like, thing? Right? Something similar to that.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. Man, now I'm sad that game doesn't exist.
Depressing.
That is depressing. Okay. Yeah, so keep going on there. Worst of TV.
Television. Okay, so this television show, it started in 2008, but it went for like 5 seasons, so it falls into that category, I guess you could say, right? Sure. It was The Secret Life of an American Teenager.
My ex-wife was obsessed with that show.
Likewise. Yeah. Dude, that's why I, like, started watching it, and it really reminded me of, what's the Archie television show?
Riverdale?
Riverdale. Yeah, where everybody's, like, sleeping with everybody, and everybody's got these other invested interests, and they're, like, you know, they would say stuff that us as normal people wouldn't say
would never say. Yeah.
I wouldn't dream of being, like, accusing somebody, you know, like this older woman of sleeping with, like, her brother or something. Like, straight up, this show bugged the heck out of me. But, like, I have to admit, I probably watched more episodes than I'd cared to admit to. Just out of default, just because it was kind of on, and it's like, oh, you know, what's this character doing? But it was bad. It should have ended a long, long time ago. And it didn't have any of those moments. They tried to do the same thing like what they've done with those past television shows, where those iconic ones, where they have like a, you know, if you're suffering with depression, you know, right. One of those, like, those episodes, right, that pander towards certain, like, really
a very special episode.
Yeah. They had quite a few of those, and I feel like they almost, like, started each episode with something like that, you know?
Yeah.
It was bad. The other the 2 other ones I'd like to talk about are Two Broke Girls. That show bugged the heck out of me. And I bet you can guess who I didn't care for. Kate?
What? Kat Dennings?
Kat Dennings.
Yeah.
Yep. Didn't like her in Thor. Didn't like her in this show. She's not funny.
No.
She's like a girl version of Vince Vaughn, where she just like plays off of other people, and they say something, they say something snarky, and then she kind of like has her own 2 cents to throw in about it, and she just gets in. Even her voice to me is just like nails on a chalkboard. It's
agreed.
Yeah. The only movie that I somewhat liked her in was it was that indie film that stars the kid from Arrested Development. The Nick and Nora's Playlist.
Oh yeah, Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist.
Yes.
Yeah.
That she was okay in.
I forgot I saw that. I did see that, but I forgot I saw that.
Yeah. She was tolerable, but for the most part, anytime she plays a character like that, she just bugs me. Yeah,
she's on the same level as like Aubrey Plaza.
Yes.
Like she's the same for me. It's like they play the same type of character and everything. They're like these, smart ass, snarky.
Charlie Sheen's another one.
Yeah.
Right? That just kind of plays that same character.
Yeah. And it's just, it's a little played out at this point.
It is. And the last one, which it pains me to say this, but Game of Thrones, the final season, that bugged the heck out of me. Like, there was all these different things going into the season, especially having to wait so long for it and being like, oh, they're going to answer these questions, and we're going to finally get more of a story about this. Like, they killed off the Night King, like, in an episode.
Yeah.
And his whole entire army in an episode. They gave the throne to the wrong person, and then it was a complete mess, and I feel like they just wanted to hurry and finish this season so they could move on to other things.
Yeah.
And it bugged me because there was less episodes, they were a little bit longer, which was nice.
Well, and I can't imagine, being so obsessed with this show and being, a huge fan of this show and being so invested in these characters, and just having that last season, just every episode be more and more disappointing, because I saw the final episode. I watched it.
Yeah.
And even me, when they killed off the Night King, I was like, that's it?
Yeah.
Like,
kill him, everybody else dies.
What a cop-out. They killed him and everybody else just disappeared. Like, that is the dumbest writing trope that they've been using since, like, Star Wars Episode 1.
Yeah. And that, and then also the direction they went with Dany, that kind of bugged me.
All of a sudden she was sane and all of a sudden insane.
Exactly.
And then kill everybody. Oh, okay.
All right.
All right.
Yeah. Because, I get why she did it, because some of her closest, like, people died, and she was just trying to get revenge, but the whole city had already, like, given up and the bells had rung, yet she's wiping everybody out.
Yeah.
And I was also really disappointed with, like, the Hound's conclusion. I thought he deserved a better, like, they didn't really. There was, like, this whole thing between saying, like, that Cersei, she was going to be killed by, a family member, like a brother.
Yeah.
Like, they had this whole legend or something, was like she'd been foretold this thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then she was just with Jaime when they died. And then, like, even then I was just like, oh no, they're not dead. Like, something else is going to happen. Or Jaime's going to come in there and actually take her out. Or perhaps it's going to be Tyrion. Oh, man, I was just disappointed with the whole season. And it bugged me. Which, like, I was a huge fan. Like, I loved it. Like, have a mug of the of the house.
Yeah.
Stark, and yeah, it was not good.
That's too bad. Well, for me, the worst of television of the decade is basically a couple reality shows, and I say this because these shows have absolutely no substance, and they're just, it's just basically just one big pile of fluff. It's just entertainment for entertainment's sake. First one is Keeping Up with the Kardashians. I hate this family.
Yeah.
I hate everything about them.
How they became famous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're famous for pretty much no reason.
Yeah. Well, sex tape.
Well, yeah.
That accidentally got leaked.
Yeah. Accidentally.
Yeah. Air quotes.
And everybody is so obsessed with these stupid, shallow people.
Yeah.
These privileged people that
they have the money, the means, all this like potential, but yet they kind of just squander it because they're just like too busy having stupid bickering arguments.
Yeah. Like they started out because they just wanted to be rich and famous. That's the only reason they did any of this stuff.
Right. Like all of their motives and like who they decide to date or marry, like it's all because they want to be more famous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people are obsessed with them, and I don't know why. I don't get it. I do not understand it.
It's got to have something to do with the fact that they've got all this money and they're doing like crazy, obscene stuff that like normal people wouldn't get away with.
Yeah.
And I guess they're also looking for more drama in their life, perhaps.
Maybe that's what it is.
People need that drama.
I don't know. But yeah, and I'm trying to think. Yeah, it's still going. It's still going.
Oh, geez.
It started in 2007, which if, we're going by your rule, it still counts.
Yeah.
And it's still going.
People are still watching this.
But the other thing is, on the other side of it, most of this stuff is the plot lines or whatever. A lot of it's not even real. It's all manufactured. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
People take this family so seriously. I'm like, most of this stuff isn't even real.
They said as if it's like real life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. It's one thing if it's a television show and you're like, oh, that wouldn't happen in real life. But it's a television show. But then you have this of actual people that are like pretending that this is really happening in their life. Yeah.
And they based events around the television show, like them getting married. They got to make sure that they film it for the television show. Oh, they're having a baby. Got to make sure you film it for the television show. I'm like, it's disgusting.
Yeah. It's very gross. It's invasive.
Yes.
All right. I wouldn't want like my life. I get like with like celebrities where a lot of their lives and anything that they say and do gets put on television, like, but which kind of bugs me. But at the same time, these guys go out of the way to look for things to do to make better air quotes better television.
It's just it's a blatant way to make sure that they're constantly in the spotlight.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's like, everybody please look at us.
Mm-hmm. You can see like certain celebrities sometimes doing that to be like remembered.
Yeah.
Right? But no, this is like on a weekly basis.
Yes. And then the other one, as far as reality TV shows, freaking The Bachelor / Bachelorette.
Never watched any of these ones.
Talk about being the most fake and the most ridiculous scenarios that people get so invested in.
Yeah. Like,
do you really think that these people are going to find true love after only a few weeks?
Yeah, no.
No. Most
especially when they're sleeping around with everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know the percentage, but I think most of them aren't even together anymore.
Right.
And it's just, it's dumb. The whole, I don't know, maybe there's some sort of like train wreck scenario.
Yeah.
that people just can't seem to turn away from. But I've had my own family members that were obsessed with this show.
Where they're talking about it at the
Yes.
dinner table?
Yes.
Like, oh, I bet she's going to pick this person.
Mhm.
No. She's going to, for sure, it's going to be this person. Oh, did you see who she gave the rose to? Or
Yeah.
he gave the rose.
Who cares? They're dumb, pretty people trying to get together with other dumb, pretty people. I mean, that's all it is.
Yeah.
Horrible, shallow people. All of them on both shows.
And you've watched more episodes than you'd care to admit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more of out of a morbid curiosity.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the book The Art of War.
Mm-hmm.
Know your enemy.
Like, what is this all about? Like, the same thing can be applied. Like, I read the first 6 chapters of Twilight and couldn't get through it because she was too whiny.
Yeah.
But, like, I felt like I owed it to other people to at least give it a try so I could say, like, have an informed opinion.
Yeah.
So perhaps, that's where your motives come from watching some of these shows. I'd hope so, Troy. Not just because you're just, like, wanting to watch it.
No. I'm not. I'm not sitting at home with my hair in curlers and a glass of wine watching The Bachelor.
I guess our last 2 categories. So, worst movies of the decade.
Yep.
First off, The Last Airbender.
Oof.
I loved this animated series. It was fantastic. The character development was great. Like everybody was really funny and clever, and I liked how even Zuko kind of had a change of heart. They tried to cram the entire series into a one hour and a half, 2 hour movie.
Yeah. Right?
And it was a train wreck. Not to mention, it was also directed by M. Night Shyamalan.
Mm-hmm.
It was horrible, and I didn't want to see any more adaptations of other stuff, and that's why I was so tentative about the Golden Compass and seeing these other things. Because I honestly feel like M. Night Shyamalan hadn't watched a single episode of the show.
I'm sure he didn't.
Right? He was just oh yeah, these characters didn't. Because he didn't develop them at all, and they were all over the place, and it was a train wreck. And I think it was it's only sitting at 11 or something on Rotten Tomatoes. It's not a good movie.
Yeah.
The other one that I had to bring up, there's a lot of them. It was difficult to try to narrow it down which Adam Sandler movie was the worst.
Yeah.
Right? You had That's My That's My Son, That's My Whatever.
That's My Boy.
That's My Boy. Yeah. You had that one. You had The Cobbler. You had Pixels.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But the one that really stands out to me the most, Jack and Jill.
Yes.
That was straight up garbage. I didn't even make it through the entire movie. And it was on, I can't remember what it was on. I think it was television or something back in 2011. And he's playing his sister, and she's just annoying. Which I really loved Mrs. Doubtfire. So I was just perhaps this is kind of a Mrs. Doubtfire-esque kind of a movie. And it was not. It was garbage. Complete, straight up garbage.
Yeah, I'm ashamed to say I saw that in the theaters.
Oh, really?
Yep, I did.
And Uncut Gems almost makes up for all these movies because it's awesome. And we talked about earlier, the dude can act.
He can. Right? He can, yes.
If he's not directing or starring, if he's not directing it, then he does a heck of a better job, right? Yes. If he's using his, Billy Madison? What's his studio called?
Happy Madison.
Happy Madison, yeah. If he's not doing that and he's given a direction to go, he can be a solid actor.
Yes, he can.
But a lot of this fluff and other stuff that he's just putting out there, it's garbage.
And maybe he's not realizing it. Maybe that's why he did Uncut Gems. Because maybe now he's finally realized that, people don't like this zany stuff that I'm doing.
No.
Yeah. Zohan. Oh my gosh.
Ugh. or even The Neighbors, or not The Neighbors. What was the show that he did too? Was it Neighbors? What was it called? With like all of his buddies.
Grown-Ups.
Grown-Ups, yeah. Grown-Ups 1 and 2. I get that you want to, like, you know, keep your friends and help them out, succeed as well, but... Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gross.
Last but not least, in 2013, After Earth. Another M. Night Shyamalan movie. Mm-hmm. This was just an attempt for Will Smith to let his son be in a movie.
Yep.
Right? And Will Smith just sat there like the majority of the movie and was kind of like that oracle where he would just kind of like give direction, and it was so bad. It was not good at all, which I could have almost like gone with like Gemini Man, but
right.
this one was even worse.
Yeah. Jaden Smith cannot act.
Yeah.
At all.
Karate Kid?
He's barely acting in that one.
Yeah. Jackie Chan did a much better job with it. Like,
yeah. It's weird to think that he was a better actor as a young child than he is.
Well,
older.
And even in like The Pursuit of Happiness, he really didn't have to talk at all.
That wasn't Jaden.
Wasn't it?
Mm-mm. That was Trey. That was his oldest kid.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But still, another attempt to let his children act.
Yeah.
Do us a service, Will. Which, it pains me to say this because, like, I used to, back in the day, he was like the Rock Johnson of movies. That, like, for me, like, Will Smith, I was just like, Public Enemies, you know, Independence Day, all these movies. Like, I would, like, go out of my way to see any Will Smith movie. Like, I Robot, I Am Legend.
Men in
like,
Black.
Right? I was just like, he is a phenomenal actor, and I will, like, watch any of his movies.
But now you're just like, anytime he has a new movie, you're like,
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, especially after Gemini Man.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Now you're really hesitant to go and see anything he's in.
I'm going to pass on Bad Boys.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
No thanks.
Yeah.
All right, for me, and again, I've seen so far I've seen all of these in theaters. My first one is Movie 43.
Oh.
I don't know who came up with this idea for a movie. I don't know why it was ever released. I don't know why it was ever written. I don't know why it was ever just an idea. It should never even been an idea in somebody's head.
No.
This movie was garbage.
It had so many celebrities in it, which is crazy that they were on board with this.
Well, and that's the thing. I saw the preview for it, and I thought, that genuinely looks funny, because it was like several different stories. It had big name celebrities.
Hugh Jackman was in it.
Mm-hmm. Hugh Jackman, Halle Berry, Chloe Grace Moretz, just a ton of people. But it was garbage. I mean, it was like if a 13-year-old boy wrote a sketch TV show. Yes. That's what it was. Oh, it's like, what if this guy has like testicles on his chin? Ha ha ha. See, it's funny.
Yeah.
Oh my god. But I actually laughed when I saw it in the theaters. But thinking back on it again, I'm like, why did I do that to myself?
Some of the celebrities: Hugh Jackman, Kate Winslet, Emma Stone, Halle Berry, Elizabeth Banks, Richard Gere, Gerard Butler, Anna Faris. Uma Thurman. There's a ton of different people in this movie.
I mean,
Chris Pratt,
yeah,
Johnny Knox. I mean, it's crazy how many people they actually got to be in this movie.
And it was so exploitive. So much so that you felt gross. It's like, I don't mind nudity in films.
Yeah.
I really don't. But even in that one, you're just like, this is too much.
Mm-hmm. It's sitting at 5% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah. So, yeah. We don't need just that much gratuitous nudity and swearing and,
just for the sake of
of it.
Just for
the sake of shock value, basically. The next one, Battleship.
Ugh.
Wow, was this movie awful.
Right?
You think, okay, a movie based off of a board game, yeah, it could work. Clue was funny.
Right?
So maybe if they don't take themselves that seriously, maybe it could work. But man, they tried to make a straight up alien film.
Yeah.
That like aliens versus the Navy, and it was overly sappy and overly patriotic, and
that's the one biggest issue that I had with it is they had the nerve or the audacity to take these vets and include them in this movie, right? To be like, to try to invoke some sort of like patriotism, or feelings. Like, oh yeah, now we've got these guys on our side.
Yeah, in that moment, I literally laughed out loud in the theater.
Wow, yeah.
When they had the slow motion walk of all these, veterans.
No, the veterans were walking at normal pace.
That's right. Yeah. Just most of them were like amputees and stuff.
Yeah.
And, and they got on.
Put your good foot forward.
They got on, the old battleship, and they were preparing for a fight, and I think the song was playing was like,
and I'm proud to be
it
American.
was something like that.
Yeah.
And I literally
flag waving in the background.
Yeah, I literally just laughed. I'm like, this is so stupid.
Yeah. Never should have been made.
No. And then the last one for me, and this is about also wasted potential. We're back at the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
TMNT Out of the Shadows. This was the second one that came out. The first one I can forgive a little bit because it was trying to kind of find its foothold. It was trying to do something different.
Yeah.
Not a great film, but I can forgive some things in it. This one, man, they were trying to do what they did in the first one and just ramp it up to 1,000. Like this time they're like, oh, this time we're gonna have Casey Jones in it. We're gonna have Bebop and Rocksteady. We're gonna have Krang, and you're like, and the Technodrome. You're like, oh, great, awesome, that sounds good. It just ended up being a giant CGI horrible mess.
And then they had like one of those moments like in The Hobbit where they're riding in the barrels.
Yes.
Right? Where they're just like flying in slow motion, Michael Bay style.
Yeah.
Right? It was garbage. I didn't even like Bebop and Rocksteady the way that they were portrayed.
No, they were portrayed as like these disgusting human animal creatures, and they were always farting and like, okay, yeah, funny. Yeah, but it was so stupid. There are worse movies out there. But the reason it's on this list is just that wasted potential.
Yeah.
That's what it was. If you're someone like me who's been on board with the Turtles almost since they started.
Yeah.
And you've been waiting to see something like this for years. You had the original live action films and you were like, where's Krang? Where's Bebop and Rocksteady? Where are all these people that I know? And then to get this garbage?
Yeah.
It was so disappointing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so our last one for worst geek moment of the decade.
Yes.
There were a lot to choose from, and I kind of tried to narrow it down, but the one that really stuck out to me, and it was probably because we kind of saw it here as it unfolded, but it was San Diego Comic-Con versus Salt Lake Comic-Con. And just where they threw them under the bus and were making an example of Salt Lake, it didn't help. I understand that Utah, like Salt Lake Comic-Con, they did some stupid moves, like bringing their car to one of the hearings. Yeah. And they kind of flaunted that a little bit, as well as, there were some other mistakes and missteps that they did, but they should have really done like what they did in like Star Wars and like had everybody else, all of these other Comic-Cons that go under the name of Comic-Con, you've got like New York Comic-Con, like there was like, I want to say there was about 1,200 different Comic-Cons that are Comic-Cons. Yeah. That they have each year. Had they said like, you guys, let's kind of like band together, but they didn't, and they just kind of threw Utah under the bus, so now it's Fan X. Yep. And I still find myself saying, like, Salt Lake Comic-Con.
Well, that's just easy to say.
Yeah.
Instead of Salt Lake Fan X Comic Convention. Yeah. That's what I think it is now. Mm-hmm. And even then, I'm not even sure. Like, I think that's what it is now. Right. I'm not 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was so stupid. And like you said, there were so many other conventions that had been doing the Comic-Con thing for years.
And to be able to say that you're copywriting that, like words?
No.
Yeah.
And the only reason they did that is because our convention was starting to gain steam.
Yeah, it sold out like way quicker than some of the other ones, as well as it had a bigger group of people.
Yeah.
Right?
And we were getting big stars and big names and we were getting a lot of, national attention and stuff like that. And
where San Diego could have like played to their strengths is, hey, we're close to Hollywood. This is where you're going to get like the breaking news stories, right? Like, and we still pull stories from them every single year. It's like, hey, this trailer dropped, or this person said this thing and teased that they're making this movie. We pull stories from them constantly. That's where they should have just like, that should have been their niche.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
But to go after Salt Lake like that was just kind of, it's a step backwards for nerds.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Okay. For me, I wanted to choose for my worst geek moment. I wanted to stay away from, anything that had to do with movies or television, something like that. So I decided to go with the many deaths we had of pretty much geek culture icons.
Yes.
Where it was Stan Lee, Carrie Fisher, Robin Williams, just these people that we knew and that we grew up with for so many years that were a big part of the geek culture. And then they just started dropping like flies.
Oh, yeah. This last decade, there were a ton of them.
Mm-hmm. And, and it was like, it felt like that generation was coming to an end. It was coming to a close.
Yeah.
And it was kind of depressing.
Because with those guys, along goes your childhood, right?
Yeah.
You're.
I mean, just recently, Peter Mayhew played Chewbacca, died. Kenny Baker, who was R2-D2, died.
Which death hit you the hardest? Probably Stan Lee?
Carrie Fisher.
Carrie Fisher? Okay.
Stan Lee was tough, but I knew that one was coming.
Because he's kind of on borrowed time.
Yeah, because he was so old.
Yeah.
But Carrie Fisher... No, actually, you know what? No, Robin Williams actually hit me really hard.
Being a fellow voice actor?
Yeah, and it's one I didn't see coming because I liked Robin Williams, but he was never, somebody I was like obsessed with.
Right.
But then I started thinking like, he's been
a part of your childhood, a part of your life for years.
Part of my teenage years, my adult years, childhood. He's been in major parts of that.
And it was really difficult because, like, of the way that his death, the way happened,
he went out,
right?
Yeah.
Especially for somebody that's so, like, happy and, like, I mean, he's Patch Adams, right? For crying out loud. Like, he's supposed to make everybody feel good, and it's hard when you see somebody that's putting on, basically a mask a little bit, in a way, in essence, and kind of hiding behind his jokes, to actually see, like, all the struggles and stuff that he went through.
Yeah, I mean, like I said on Facebook, he was there when I was a kid with... Hook and Aladdin and
Mrs.
Doubtfire, Jumanji. He was there when I became a teenager, a rebellious teenager with shows like 1 Hour Photo and Insomniac and these really dark, serious movies.
Yeah.
Then he was there when I was adult and went back and started watching some classic films like Good Will Hunting and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, he's been everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when I heard that he had died, I was okay for a minute. But then, like, I think it was that night when I started thinking about it, like, I just broke down. Like, just all of a sudden just came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, that was weird. Yeah.
That was a really rough one.
So, there you go. It was a decade full of disappointments. And some positivities.
Yeah, for sure.
But a lot of disappointments.
So let's focus on that this decade.
Yeah, so let's make sure that the next 10 years are full of good vibes.
Yes.
Let's make the next 10 years awesome. I will, or we, I guess, will hit our 40s.
Yeah.
This decade.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. There's actually some I saw online. There was a meme that said that if you were born in the 80s, you've lived through basically 40 decades, and you've seen a new millennium, and you've seen
4 decades.
Yeah. Because we have. I mean, we were in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and now we're going into the 2020s.
Yeah.
Yep. Anyway, there you have it.
On that somber note.
Yeah. Yeah, that we're all getting old.
But stay geeky, my friends.
Yeah. And we'll all die eventually. But on your deathbed, maybe you could listen to all of our episodes, which you can find at worldwarg.podbean.com. We're also on iTunes, Google Play, and CosmicPotatoNetwork.com. On the social media, we're at Facebook.com/WorldWarG We're also on Twitter and Instagram. Just search at WWG Podcast. You can find all of our merchandise, which, by the way, those new shirts that I made, I'm going to start taking those down and put up some new ones.
Yeah.
So if you want those shirts, they're in there now. Get them soon. You can also email us anytime.
Day or night.
At worldwgpodcast@gmail.com. You can also call or text the show at any time. Okay?
At
385-240-1692. So this has been World War G episode 248. That has been AJ.
That has been Troy.
Stay geeky, my friends.